Today we will be exploring the structure of a plant cell and what the function of each organelle is. Plant cells tend to have distinct edges and may appear somewhat rectangular or hexagonal in shape. This is due to it having a very rigid cell wall. Next is the cell membrane, which is the thin barrier around all living cells that separates the cytoplasm from the external environment. Cytoplasm is the gelatinous liquid that fills the inside of a cell. The nucleus is where the genetic information of the cell is stored, and it also acts as the control center of the cell. You could think of this as the operator, or director of the cell, managing its movement, growth, metabolism, and reproduction, as well as giving instructions for protein synthesis. Ribosomes receive instructions for protein synthesis from the nucleus. The nucleus transcribes DNA into mRNA, which act as a recipe for the ribosomes to assemble specific amino acids into proteins. Next, we have the endoplasmic reticulum, which is one big network made of two parts, the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is called so because it is covered in ribosomes, giving it a bumpy appearance. This section deals more with protein-related functions, such as protein folding into their correct 3D shapes, modification of proteins, or transport to the Golgi apparatus, which will be explored later. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum functions include creating lipids, which are fatty compounds needed for life. It also assists in detoxification of harmful compounds and calcium storage, because calcium ions are very important for signaling within the cell. Next is the Golgi apparatus, which acts sort of like the post office of the cell. It processes, sorts, and modifies materials, like proteins and lipids, from the endoplasmic reticulum, and finally ships them off either outside of the cell or into another organelle. Mitochondria, often called the powerhouse of the cell because they generate the energy needed for the cell to function. They intake nutrients, such as sugar, and break them down into energy. Unique to plant cells, they have an organelle called a vacuole. The central vacuole functions to keep pressure against the cell wall and keep plants upright. It also stores water and waste products, isolates hazardous materials, and can break down waste using enzymes. This vacuole typically replaces the function of lysosomes seen in animal cells. Plant cells also have an organelle called chloroplasts, which enable them to perform photosynthesis, the process of converting sunlight or light energy into chemical energy, which is usable by the cell. Finally, for this video, we have peroxisomes, which function primarily by protecting the cell from harmful reactive oxygen species, like hydrogen peroxide, using enzymes. They also break down fatty acids and recycles a carbon molecule that would otherwise be wasted from photosynthesis.